right. Gosh, I feel like you really know me now. Anyway, I think I put some notes out here. What an honor to be here. Such fun. I love the ICF family. I really love Karen, your husband, Dan. Amazing people stepping out and just coming up here because of love for people and obviously just the calling of God upon their lives and to see the fruit. I mean, I spent time with them before they even came up here, and now to see what's happening and to see the vision, it's just an exciting time. So anyway, you guys are in for a great ride. Make sure that you give all your money, pray all your prayers, just spend all your days and time making sure we can tell this city that there is an answer to their life's problems, and that's Jesus, and just the relationships that will be built will be awesome. It's a great series, Follow Me. I love that little car thing that moving around. I thought I may get one of those because I'm speaking here, but maybe the little one, I can take that home with me. I don't know, but I just love those things. I grew up around the airport in Zurich, and I actually remember those little checker cars when they drove around and the big jets behind. I thought, man, what a job. I mean, that's like, what a job, you know. It's like the guy that says, I have 1,000 people under me. Very responsible job. He cuts the grass at the cemetery. But anyways, it will be a fun thing to drive the car, I'm sure. The topic today, and I'm hoping that it's not going to become too serious, but it's a very serious topic, and that's marriage. And when you look at the statistics, and all of you know that usually above 50% of marriages actually break up in a divorce and end up in divorce. And then there's a great percentage of Christian marriages also that are not just very happy. And they don't really can say that this is heaven on earth, because marriage is either heaven on earth or hell on earth. And please, no elbows, okay? Just if you're married, I don't want you to break in a fight here. I hope you're all sitting together tonight. I mean, marriages. All right. How many of you are not married? Let me just see your hands. You are not married? All right. Well, how many of you are married? It's a little easier. Married? Let me see. Okay. Cool. Awesome. How many of you are happily married? No, don't put your hand up. But what happens is I realize I have to put the timer on because I'll talk until tomorrow morning. There we go. All right. I have 46 hours. Cool. You know, marriage is one of those things that doesn't just happen. And my wife and I, after 5 years of marriage, and we thought honeymoon, I thought it was honeymoon. It was not a honeymoon. And it began to just get worse and worse because I was putting everything into my workplace. And it was ministry, and I thought if I'd be successful in ministry, that everything will go well at home because I'm doing God's work. And it just did not work that way. And after 5 years of marriage, actually, we wrecked our marriage. I wrecked the marriage, really. And got to the point where our pastor at that time counseling us, saying, I think it's best for you guys to get divorced. So when your pastor tells you to get divorced, that's really bad. But we stayed together because of one promise we made to each other. And we decided before we got married that no matter what happens, no matter what comes our way, no matter what we are faced with, we are never going to get divorced. In other words, that option is off the table. There will be another solution than that. And that was the only reason, 5 years later, that we actually did not get divorced. And we said, we're going to work at this thing. And what happened is we actually read books. I mean, I didn't like at that time reading books, but I read books on marriage. We listened to cassette tapes. We went to seminars, and we became students of this thing called marriage. And it actually became so interesting, and we applied this, and it worked, and the Bible was actually true, and I mean, all these things were happening in our lives, and it was great fun. So our friends and neighbors would come over with their problems, and we began talking to them about these principles, and on and on and on. Now, years later, literally 30 years later, we are married now, 29 years. Next year will be 30, and we take marriage seminars all around Europe, all around the world. We are invited to speak at family conferences, and what an honor and privilege it is. So this is a topic that's very, very close to our hearts, and we really love talking about this. So don't do like the first ones, throwing shoes at me when I talk too much, and I put them really nice out so you don't have to throw them at me again. Give me a chance here. Over the next 25 minutes or so, I want to talk about some things that will hopefully give you something to take home with and not just to think about, but something to adjust and something to change. And I think that's the important thing. Whenever we are talking about God and Jesus in the Bible, that something speaks to our hearts and we leave a different way. Remember the wise men when they came to Jesus when he was born? It says in the Bible, and when they met him, they went a different way. I don't think you can walk the same way once you meet Jesus. And so this afternoon, my prayer for you is that if you're married or single, that you will be able to take something with you and have a different kind of a walk and lifestyle. All right, can we agree upon that? Yeah. All right, awesome. Now, a broken heart is really the reason why people get divorced, because the dream did not work. The dream is not fulfilled. And so the broken vision, the broken dream equals a broken heart, which of course goes down into then a divorce or separation or whatever it may be. And so what I want to say is that the true picture of marriage is that two messed up people come together. We're all messed up. Did you know that? None of us have had the perfect childhood. None of us are completely mature and Christ-like. We have our flaws. We are messed up. We've got some things from our parent house, some things that we've made decision-wise, maybe some other wrong input, but we really are all messed up. And so the picture we have, this perfect picture, you know what? The reason why they take so many pictures at the wedding is because you'll never look that good again after that. That's, I mean, it's a beautiful way to remember the day to start. I'm not hoping to, I really don't want to paint a bad picture of marriage. It's awesome, trust me. I have a great marriage now. We have an awesome relationship. She is not just the most beautiful lady, but she is my bride, my girl, my chick on the side. She's, I mean, everything. She's my best friend, and it's just awesome to live life that way and to actually want to go home and sneak out of meetings because I want to go home and see her. Those are all true things, and that's what I'm saying. I don't want this to be a heavy thing, but I want you to be honest enough to make, okay, I'll make an adjustment. Now, let me paint a new picture. The new picture is basically that you're going to be helping each other, serving each other, because out of four things here, number one, I want you to understand that your spouse is God's biggest redeeming agent or biggest agent of change in your life. In other words, the person closest to you knows when you smell and when you don't smell, right? Knows when you're doing right, when you're wrong. They know your weaknesses and your strengths. And so why will God use somebody on the internet that doesn't know you to bring change to your life? Hello? God's going to use the person closest to you to bring change in your life. And that's why it's important to understand that we cannot change another person. I cannot change my wife, and she cannot change me. It took me years to comprehend that. But what we can do is we can create an environment where change is easy. We can create an environment where failure is not fatal, where actually change is welcomed, or it's like awesome and celebrated, and that creates an atmosphere like, I want to change. I know I will not be condemned. I can be honest without being slapped. And that's a good thing. By the way, you can say amen in this church, okay? I won't run away. I won't be scared, so please feel free to talk to me. I just know that you're breathing out there still. Ephesians 5 and verse 25 says that husbands, love your wives just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up for her. That's the kind of love that has to be the foundation in marriage. That it's a giving up of oneself. By the way, he did that before he even knew you, before you even knew him, rather. So we love our spouses. We practice that unconditional love, and we are giving of ourselves to them. Not, I love you, so now you're going to serve me and give me something. No, I'm going to give whether you receive it or not. I'm going to love you. I'm going to give you. I'm going to accept you. I'm going to celebrate you, regardless of how different you are. Can you see that? It's not the other way around, like, okay, when you are good, I love you more. And when you give me something, I really love you. And if you don't give me anything, then that's it, sleep on the couch. That's not the kind of, relationship that we want to build here. We can build an atmosphere where failure is not fatal, where people actually, that's what Christ does. I mean, We can go to him with our deepest problems, with our biggest sins, and we can just pour it out on him. And we do that. Why? Because we know he will never leave us. He will never forsake us. We know that he will always be here. We know that his mercies will be new the next morning, and he'll be here for us. We know that, and we trust that, and so we open our hearts to him. When it comes to our spouses, sometimes we hold back. I had the hardest concept, and it took that crash we had in 5 years into a marriage for me to actually see my wife as my best friend. I mean, I could see her as my spouse, my wife, and all that, but my best friend? I mean, I played hockey, I was professional, and locker room, that's my best friends, that's my buddies and all that, I just couldn't picture my wife in black over here and pads on, and I just couldn't, because that went with best friend, for me. And I had to learn that she is my best friend, and to trust and to open my heart and begin to start a dialogue with that. It was very, very important. Number two, when you get this new picture, is to celebrate the difference, the differences. We are uniquely different, not just in shape and size and hair and no hair, but we are really different. We have different personalities. Some are headliners, women are fine print and all that. We know some of those things. But also, what I want you to understand is that women are emotionally immodest and sexually modest, where men are emotionally modest and sexually immodest. What does that mean? That means for a woman to be able to have intimacy with her husband, it takes a process. It starts in the morning, how she woke up, and how I said good morning. If I shaved before the good morning or after the good morning and scratched up her face, or, did I make breakfast for her? I mean, all these things, that's kind of where it starts, and it goes all the way down the day, and texting and calling you, I love you, and, coming home and helping vacuum, as you saw, and all these things, And then at the end, it's like, yeah, I like this. Yeah, this is cool, and then life is good. If all that doesn't happen, it's very difficult for a woman just to turn on the switch and say, okay, yeah, cool. For a man, it's very different. When it comes to being intimate and sexually, a man, he needs a thought and a cornfield. I mean, that's it. We're ready. I mean, we're the microwaves. They're the pressure, the slow cooker. Now, when it comes to our emotional side, a woman is amazing. My wife can stand at a grocery store in line, and within a minute, talk about our bills with somebody and just, life and what we did, and, the car broke down, we did this, and I'm like, don't share these, it's got nothing to do with that person, just don't even know that person, stop it, but she just emotionally open up, that's it, and they're talking about life and this and my husband and this and the kids, and I'm like, this is not cool, don't talk about these things, it's like private stuff, We are different, man, we don't want that, we stand in the grocery line and, we don't enter in this, close zone thing. But then when it comes to us as men, because we emotionally have a hard time there, we don't want to share our lives and our heart with that. And so we're very different. Let me give you an example with that. Man goes ahead and man and wife get together, and she says, honey, would you please just open up and talk to me about your feelings, your emotions? I feel like I know you on the outside, but I really want to know you on the inside. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? And all the conversation men really want to have. And anyway, so finally he says, okay. I'll open up. I'll say something very deep. I've never talked to him before about this. It's very, very kind of embarrassing, but your mom intimidates me. She goes, honey, really? Mom? She couldn't know. Come on. Why would she intimidate? I don't know. She walks in a room and I'm like, here she comes. Oh, here she comes. Anyway, so it's one of those things like, I just don't like it. I don't know why, but she goes, don't worry. It's just a phase. Next morning, the guy's shaving and he hears his wife on the phone in the next room with her mom. His mom, guess what? Desmond just told me, you intimidate him. Isn't that stupid? Yeah. That's so crazy. What happens with the man while shaving? His heart? Do you think he will ever open up again and talk about some things? Oh, no. It's kind of like, having a deer. You stand there for 4.5 hours to feed a deer, and finally the deer comes close, and when it's just about to eat, you go, ah! Deer runs away. Just kidding. Come on back. How long will it take for the deer to come back? It will not come back for a long time. See, same thing happens with a man's heart. So we are different in our emotional side and in our sexual behavior. And that's why we've got these two complete opposites clashing. And if we don't know these things before we step into it, or even getting a clearer picture of our marriage, we're going to have a hard time. And the clearer the picture is, the more you have a picture. You remember what God told Abraham? He says, look as far as you can see, because what you can see, I'm going to give to you. So the picture we have is what God can work with. The vision we have of our spouses and of our marriages and all that, that's what God can work with. If I don't know anything, like I said in Habakkuk, it says we are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. So if we don't know, we can't see. If we can't see, God can't really move in the framework of what we see. Does that make sense? You still breathing? Okay. You're very quiet out there. Number 3, the basic needs of a man and the basic needs of a woman is number 4 then. Let's talk about the basic needs of a man. Number 1, overwhelmingly number 1, he has a need for honor. A man needs to be honored. Now, if you look at this in the context, there's a reason why there's more men in the military than women in the military. Why? Because the military works on an honor system. If you are a higher rank, I will salute you and do whatever you say because you are high rank. I may not like you. I may actually really don't like you. But I will honor you because of the rank you have. Now, for a husband at home, the title, the rank husband, if that is honored, he can function within the authority of husband, within the role of husband. But if he has to keep proving that he is a husband and he's not being honored and he doesn't get that honor support, he will put all of his energy into just to establish I am the man, or I am this, because his identity is not fulfilled. Can you see that? It is so important for a man, the honor system. That's why at home, the man doesn't get honored by the wife, but at the office, the secretary thinks he is just the best thing and the wonderful CEO or great that, and you're so accomplishing and all that. He's honored there. He wants to stay more times or more hours a day at the office because that's where the honor is versus at home. You see that? So honor is a big deal when it comes to man. It's his identity. That does not mean, and please remember this, it does not mean approval. It's not that, okay, you honor him, that means you are agreeing with the way he leaves his stinky socks lying around. No. That is not what it's saying. You can honor him as a man, separate the person from the performance, and still deal with the performance, but you honor the man, your husband. I am appalled sometimes when I sit in trains or travel, and I listen to 2 ladies talk about their husbands. I mean, it absolutely makes me angry. I'm thinking that guy has not a snowball's chance in hell to really be something because they're tearing him down. My husband this and my husband that, and it's like just a machete free-for-all and killing the guy, poor guy. So that's a very important thing, the honor system for a man. Number 2 is, of course, sexual intimacy. We know that men are moved by what they see, and women are moved by hearing and by touch. And it's something very important to know. It's not that a man is a pervert. It's not that the man, is oversexed. It's not the way it is. It's just the way he is wired. He is a very visual person, and women are not when it comes to those things. And we understand that. I don't have all the time to get into it, and I don't want to make this thing like a whole sex lesson, but when it says in the Bible that my body doesn't belong to me, it belongs to my wife, and her body belongs to me, why does it say that? It says that because we don't control our own thing. I don't control my own needs. The big O is not orgasm. The big O is oneness. Oneness. That's true intimacy, is oneness. Being one. Anyway, friendship and fun is number 3 in the basic needs of a man. He has to have friendship. Again, he grows up with pals, with buddies and all that. And not that the wife has to, be kind of like them in the olden days, these pals. But there has to be a friendship. There has to be somebody he can trust, that he feels like if I say something to her, it's going to go nowhere. If he feels that, and that's proven over time, that she'll be loyal to him and all that, and she has his back, he will begin to open up. And that friendship, he seeks that. If he doesn't have that, then what happens is he's going to go find friends somewhere else. Number 4 is support at home, or having the home running smooth, basically. What irritates him a lot is if he comes home and nothing is working, nothing has been done, and for him it rubs him the wrong way, and it just creates a much more of an environment where he can work. Now, of course, I know some men, come home, feet up, give me the beer, my slippers, newspaper. That is not what a picture of what I'm talking about here. Okay, that's not what I'm saying at all. But he does want to have that support thing at home where he can come home and home is home, and he relaxes. The 4 basic needs of a woman. Number 1, again, by far, is security. A woman needs security. That's why you see sometimes, and this I never could clue this out until I found out this principle, but you can see some beautiful women with this ugly little man. I'm like, how, what? I know what he sees in her, but what does she see in him? Well, it's security. He's going to be here. He's not going to go out and another woman with her. He's going to supply her needs. He's going to, bring a paycheck home. It'll be a safe home for the kids. I mean, all these things, which is security, which she really needs and she wants. When a woman has security, she blossoms. When she doesn't have security, she will always be on the guard. She will always be unsure. She will begin to start challenging her own life and almost sabotaging her own life with depression thoughts and just questioning her identity and just her strength and who she is. So security is like the hedge, the fence around a woman. It allows her gifting to blossom and her gifting to just really come out. Ephesians 5 again says, husbands, love your wives just as Christ also loved the church. He gave himself up to her. That's that love we're talking about, that just the more you love a woman, the more her gifts and talents begin to blossom. My wife, very quickly, when I first met her, she was very shy. Her dad would slap her if she would give an opinion. He could kick her down the hallway if she would just say anything that he didn't agree with. So she grew up very closed and sheltered. One of our first dates, we sat over a soda on a table, and I had some ideas, and I said, what do you think? What's your opinion on that? And she looked at me, she began to cry. And I'm like, what happened? Is there onion on the table? I mean, why are you tearing up? And she said, no, no one's ever asked me. No man has ever asked me what I think. So when we met first, and I would introduce her to people, she would stand behind me, and she would kind of look behind and say hi. And she had so much to give. And it was literally years and years and years later. Today, she's a powerful public speaker at seminars and different things. Why? Because that love that I gave around her helped to bring out that gifting within her. She still has to struggle with it. It's still a weakness, but she's learned how to overcome it and how to be strong in that. So, soft, non-sexual affection, very important for a woman. I had a hard time with that to begin with because I saw my dad just hug my wife, and after the hug, he just went down and a little squeeze, and, that was a hug. And so I learned that, and so I thought, okay, we got married, and normal for me, that's the way you hug a wife. You give her a big old hug, you slide down and give her 2 or 3 squeezes, and that was it. And, and she was kind of, after about 3 or 4 weeks of being married, she was like, why do you do that? And that's just normal. That's what men do with girls. She said, I don't think so. So we talked about that anyway. And for me, it was a habit thing, So I had to, next hug, think, all right, keep it up. No, don't go down. Don't go down there. Don't go down there, And it was very difficult. It really was, because I enjoyed it, of course, but anyway, very important. Non-sexual affection, very important for a woman. Open, honest communication is also very high up there with a woman's personal needs. Why is it so important to have this open, honest communication? I'll tell you, I have seen marriages that I've counseled where the husband maybe went and did something wrong, morally, whatever. she can handle it if he faces up and he's honest and says, I did this, I did this, I did this. I'm sorry, please forgive me. That is something she can handle. But if he comes and like every 2 days something more comes out and he's being dishonest, she cannot handle that. She is more upset about the dishonesty than actually what happened. And so honesty is a huge, huge thing for a woman. That transparency, that openness, very, very important. And of course, leadership. She needs someone that can go ahead and lead and make a decision and be here for her and the best for her. So again, this is kind of a run through of 4 different basic things that will give us a better picture of marriage. There's obviously more. I think we've got about 12 in the marriage seminars we do. But here's just 4 of them that'll help you just to get a fuller picture. Because if you have the wrong picture, women marry men hoping that they will change, and they don't. Men marry women because he hopes that she will never change, and she does. So we see on all counts, we are just flying right past each other. And it's important to get the right picture so we don't just crash after the honeymoon, but we actually have a place we can say, hey, this is reality. I love you. I love me. I love seeing you blossom and grow. I love, seeing you open and honest. And as we do that, love grows into this magnificent and phenomenal thing. The band's going to come up in a minute here, and we're going to just give you a time during the song. I want you to reflect a bit on what we talked about this morning, about your life, your spouse being the biggest agent of change in your life. Are you allowing your spouse to actually speak into your life? Are you okay with that? Are you still fighting that? Are you still resisting that? Or does your spouse actually have your permission to speak into your life? Or is it maybe celebrating the differences? You're not quite sure about how to celebrate these differences. And you're not quite sure how you can actually agree with that because it goes so against what you have. And I don't know what God spoke to you about that too. Maybe the basic needs of a man and the basic needs of a woman. Maybe you never understood your husband has a need for honor or your wife has a need for security. But would you do this? Would you take just the time of this song and go ahead and just in your own heart, just pray. And the music plays so you can pray for yourself, okay? You can actually open your mouth and say something and talk to God and say, God, I need some help in this point. I never saw this. Thank you for showing me this. Or maybe say, gosh, help me. Repent, Lord. I'm sorry. I never knew this. So wherever you're at, whatever God put his finger on your life in these different things, would you go ahead and just give it to him this morning or this afternoon and allow him just to make a change? Go ahead and just talk to God about this.